Alright guys, so pretty much what I've done already is I've disassembled the interior already. I took away all the panels. Well, let's check it out. So pretty much all the panels have been removed, just to make a space to try to put the airlines through the interior. Another thing is I removed this top bar that's right here. There's a top bar that goes right there, and I removed it, and I went ahead and painted it a wrinkly black. First thing I'm going to do is pretty much install this back, and it's on this spot. That way I don't have to worry about it and mess up the paint. I just painted this yesterday. It didn't come out that bad actually, so we'll go ahead and do that now. Just in case you guys are wondering how to actually remove that brace right there in order to, well, I guess it's called the tower brace, this part right here. In order to remove that part, you got to remove all of the trim pieces that are come in the your trunk. So as you can see, this part right here was completely removed. This part was removed as well. And there's going to be some like foam pieces right there that you got to take off as well. And there's another foam piece right here, but you can't actually remove this piece until you remove a piece that goes up here. Everything actually just pulls off really easily. There's only going to be like about 2 bolts. I believe there's one bolt that goes right here, and then there's going to be another bolt that goes all the way over there right here. So with the front, as you can see, I removed this piece here. You just pull it off, it comes off with no problem. There's no bolts to this part as well. You can remove this trim piece right here, but you don't need to. I have it on here still, and I was able to pull it off, and that's how I pulled this part off here that goes at the top. That's where the bolt actually goes in that hole right there. 2 wires that you gotta disconnect from here. And then in order to pretty much access these bolts that go on here. Alright guys, so to remove this part here at the top, you just gotta pull it and it's gonna come right off. And then you have that rear part right there. You have to remove that part in order to pretty much be able to access those bolts there. Because you have to unbolt all 4 of those bolts that go up there in order to pretty much lift it up. But then there's also 2 bolts that go inside of this thing right here. Let me go ahead and remove this so I can show you. So like, you just push it forward and it's gonna pop right off. And then you have a bolt right there that you gotta take off. But then there's also another bolt hidden right here in the back. So you actually have to move this back. There's gonna be some clips inside of here that are actually holding it together. You're gonna have to tug on it pretty hard to get it off because it's on there pretty good. These are just clips that hold on to each other, but in the actual inside there's clips that go into a little hole where it's attached to. And to remove this part here, you gotta take all of these bolts right here in order to be able to push it out.
Perfect.
Alright guys, so I already got the car on jack stands on all 4 corners, just because I wanted to be able to do this at the same time. I am waiting for the airbags or the airlift kit to come in. Once that comes in, I'll just be able to remove the parts and start placing them in there. And as well, I have to find a way to run the airlines. I've seen a few people that run them in different ways. Some people run them under the car. I mainly wanted to do it inside the car just because I thought it would be safer, but it's completely up to you how you want to run them. Alright guys, so I was able to figure out a way to pretty much run the airlines without using the under tray or actually running them under the car. So what I pretty much did was I removed the battery on this side, and there's going to be a grommet. Let me get a flashlight for you guys really quick. So there's a grommet down there where those metal wires are, right there where my phone is pointing at, where I'm going to pretty much make a cut. That way I can feed the lines through there. That hole actually leads through the fender liner right here. Behind this fender liner, you're gonna pull that and you're gonna see that grommet in there. So I'm gonna feed it through there when the airlines or the airbags arrive in the air suspension. Once I plug it all in, I'll run it through there. I'm gonna fish it up here, and then I'm gonna run it through this right here. So I actually made a hole in there and put a wire in there, and it leads through the front of the passenger side panel. So it comes out right through here. I'm gonna fish it out and run it all the way in here. That way I know I don't have to use the underside of the car to pretty much be able to run the lines. Once I run it through here, I'm gonna run it all the way to the top, fish it through there into the back. As for the passenger side, there was actually no grommet on this side to be able to run it through. There is this grommet down here that goes into the actual driver's side, and then I can run it through there, but there's no grommet for me to run the actual line through here. So what I did is I found this existing hole right here, and I drilled it out a little bit bigger. That way I can run the lines through here, and I'll just smoothen it out and maybe put some like a rubber piece on there so it won't scratch or anything. And then once I pull it through there, I should be able to run it into this side of the car here, and that way I can run it down the interior just like the other side. The fender liner, it'll go through there, it'll go all the way up here, then to the back. The grommet that I found, actually, which is this one here, is right under the differential, which I don't really want to use because I feel like it's going to be a little too hot in there. The other one I found was over here on this side, which is this one right here, and that one you can't even see it. So there's the I believe it's the heat shield under the bottom, where you can't find that one. You would have to remove all that stuff in order to get to that point. The other thing I could do is going, and I found this other one here, which is right here. So this one I could actually use, but I would have to remove the bumper in order to utilize that one. There's also another one over here that I could also use, so I could feed it through the bumper, and that way it's away from any heat or anything like that, so I'm not worried about the lines melting. Alright, so I already moved the top brace that goes here. You have two bolts that go in here, and you have one nut that goes on here that you gotta unbolt. But to pretty much remove the whole thing, there's this piece in the back that's covered up by a trim piece, and you also gotta remove that. How you do that is you pull on this. There's two what is it called, plastic pieces that go in here. Once you take those off, you're gonna pull this top part, and you're gonna go ahead and remove these bolts here. Once you do that and you remove the bolts on the other side as well, you should be able to pull this part up with no problem. This bolt here, which was where the brake line was at, I still have to remove this part, and I went ahead and removed this bolt here. And then also on the top, as you can see, there's no bolt right there because it's through the top. You won't be able to access it through the bottom, so you have to go through the top and unbolt those as well. The part I was talking about, the brace, is this one here. If you take this plate off, you can go ahead and just slide this thing out, and then this thing should be able to drop once you unbolt those bolts at the top. Other than that, it's pretty easy. You might run into an issue where if you don't hold this bolt and this bolt at the same time, where you have the joint here, it's gonna spin. So if you don't hold it, it's gonna spin, and you're not gonna be able to take it off at that point. Alright guys, so in the rear you have pretty much the same concept. You have this bolt here, and this bolt here you gotta hold as well in order to be able to remove it. And then at the top, you have two bolts that you have to remove. You can't access it through the top because the top is actually covered up by the plastic trim that goes here. So once you remove those, you should be able to remove this part with no problem. But then with the airlift kit, you actually have to use this bucket. So if you remove these and you use like what is it called, camber arms or some arms to replace them with, you're gonna have to pretty much get this back, because you're gonna have to drill a hole in there in order to be able to place it, and then another hole on the top. Not sure if you can see that, the hole here on the top in order to be able to mount the airbag. Alright guys, so the airlift kit just came in. It came a little bit later than expected. It's 8:18. Give you guys a quick recap of exactly how I did everything. Everything's already installed, all the airbags are in, the lines are run through the whole entire car. So I'm going to show you how I exactly ran everything. So for the front side, I did ended up running up the line from the actual air strut going up on top. I'll show you where it's going to come out from. So as you can see, the line is running through here all the way up until it goes in there. Let me bring out a flashlight. So it goes all the way in there to that right there. That grommet goes all the way into the car. Runs from the inside right here, taking this panel off, going all the way in to the back. Still within this panel right here, this panel going all the way back, then coming from underneath the car. So underneath the car there was those grommets I showed you guys. That was used for the rear airbag. So this one here goes all the way up from here, that goes under here. So there's the rear grommet from underneath the car for the driver rear side of the airbag. You can barely see it, but it's going to be right underneath the differential. Now you have the passenger rear side of the airbag. It runs from here and it goes underneath this heat shield. So like I was saying, that you can't see the actual grommet from underneath the car because this heat shield that is right here is actually in the way. There's 3 bolts that go to it. If you remove those 3 bolts, you should be able to access it in order to be able to get to that grommet and then fish the line through there. And then the good thing about it is that it's away from any heat because the heat shield's in the way. So if you use this one, it would actually be safe for your car, so you won't be worried about it heating up or anything like that. As for the passenger side, the front air strut, it's actually put away already, but it's underneath the battery. Now you can't even see it at all, which is the good thing about it, which I wanted to keep it away from any heat. So it runs from the bottom right here into this part here where there's a grommet there, and then underneath the actual battery you have to remove the battery, run it all the way until you see a grommet on this side over here. You got to take all this panels off in order to get access to it, and it goes all the way inside the car, runs through the trim, and then into the back just like the driver's side. So here is the front strut mounted already. I have already ran the wire, the airline, right through this back hole, how I explained earlier. And then I have, it comes with the brackets right here for the brake lines. So you just have to mount them on there. And it's really good fitment actually. It doesn't hit on anything. The back, I checked it as well, doesn't hit it on anything. I already aired it up to make sure it was working. This thing's stiff already. Let's go to the back. So for the rear, it has also been mounted. I have a bolt right here, and I have the bolt at the bottom as well that goes under here that you drill the hole for, and then you have the top part that you're able to adjust. So this right here is your adjusting part. You can't actually adjust this bag, you have to adjust this here. Okay, so I really wanted to go over this part with you guys just because I couldn't really find any videos on how to actually do this part. This is the part in the rear where you have to put the bolt on top of the actual airbag in order to be able to bolt it in. This part, it looks more like, I already put it on the top, so I can't show you guys, but it looks like this. And then you have the part on top that goes like this, right? Now you're gonna have to use one of these to place on top, and keep in mind that the top part has to be pretty tight on there so you can do it. And then you have the bottom part that goes like this, and you're pretty much gonna twist it until it becomes tight. And you're gonna have to keep this part on there so this middle washer doesn't move, and that way this part starts crimping. Now what I mean by crimping is that this part that's on the actual top of the airbag is going to I guess kind of compress and start tightening itself, and it's going to create like a barrier where it's going to now tie in between the actual metal part of the actual car so it doesn't move. It is going to be a little bit complicated to do it by yourself because you need to have somebody holding this part here with this, and then somebody holding this part, which would be you, and then tightening it up. I'll go ahead and try to show you guys, that way you guys have an idea of how it looks like. So this part right here where you have the bolt, I already have the bolts installed, or this part here where you're going to put your bolt, I already have it installed. Now what you want to do, don't just hammer this part in, or don't just think that you can leave it in and you're going to be fine, because if you start driving, there's a huge chance that that part could actually just come out because you didn't actually compress it and tighten it up, and it's just going to fall out, and then that's going to be a huge problem because then your top part of your hat, which is this right here, is most likely going to be loose, and it could fall out. You do have this part here at the bottom that's going to be bolted onto, but you still don't want to run that risk that you're airing up and then your bag is going everywhere and it's not staying in the middle of the actual part here. So let me go ahead and try to show you how to actually bolt it. This is what it looks like. I put the bar, or this wrench here, behind this part here. That way when I'm twisting it, this wrench doesn't actually move and doesn't tighten this part here. Now what I'm doing on top of that is then I have this part here that I'm putting over, and I'm going this way, and this one is being held by this part here so it doesn't move at all. That's the only way that I could figure out how to do it without having somebody else help me out. But if you have somebody help you out, it would be best if they just hold this part here and then you start wrenching it. That way it goes through. You'll feel it once it starts getting harder or tighter. You're gonna keep going until you feel that you can't move it anymore. That way the copper actually compresses, or what do you call? I guess it's called crimping. It starts crimping and it gets smaller and smaller. That way you know it's in there already. You can't take it out. The airlift kit is now in. It took me quite a while to get the side in, just because this bolt wasn't going inside on the top, but after messing around with it for a while, I was finally able to get it in. Everything's all tightened up. This side here as well. Everything so far looks really good. The bags are completely installed. We're gonna go ahead and test that out and make sure that there's no issues, no leaks. If there are leaks, you want to make sure you're checking your lines to make sure that they're cut straight, or that you didn't damage anything, that you didn't bend anything. There could be potential holes in them. So we're gonna go ahead and put the wheels back on to see if everything's working. I'm pretty excited. Hopefully we don't want to run into any issues where we have to pretty much take everything out and try to figure out what's going on. So let's get started and put the wheels back on. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the car now just to make sure that everything's working. If I take the car off the jack stands, then I'm not gonna be able to check the suspension to see if it's actually filling up with air. So I'll go ahead and do it in the air first, and then once we're done, everything seems like it's working. We'll go ahead and take them off the jack stands. So I went ahead and checked all the airbags. Everything seems to be working. As you can see, this one is already inflated. Let's go ahead and check the rear. This one is also inflated. It has air in it already. Let's check the other side. This side also has air in it as well. Let's go ahead and check the last side, which is going to be the front passenger. This one also has air in it as well. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is take the car off jack stands, and then we're gonna see how it looks. Look at how she looks. It looks so freaking sick. I think I might have to get bigger tires or smaller tires because this thing's like right on it. Could go lower if it weren't for this right here. Right, so just in case some of you are not sure how to actually use the controller, to do your presets, You already have presets set when you do the collaboration, but you're able to actually adjust them if you would like. So clicking on it once is going to show you what you have already on the actual preset. So you have 1 preset, 2 preset, 3 preset. This is your high, your medium, and your low. And this is all the way to the ground, and this is airing up all the way. Now, to pretty much change the preset, you have to click on the button once. You're going to hold it. It's going to do this for you, and then you're going to adjust it depending on how you want it. This is for the front airbags. These are the front airbags here. These are the rear. Of course, the bottom one is to go down on the rear driver's side, and then you have the front driver's side go up and then go down, etc. So you can pretty much change it however you want, and you can adjust it. You can adjust each one. So if you want to change this one, you can go ahead and hold it. You're able to change that one as well. And let's say you have your front one, you want to change that one, you can go ahead and change that one as well. We're going to go ahead and air the car all the way out, and then we're going to go ahead and air it all the way up. So that way you guys can see the difference. Now, to actually use your presets, you have to push the button twice. So for example, let's say I want to use this top one. I push the button twice, and it's going to air out for me. Aired up in the back already, and the front's going to take a little bit longer just because the lines are a little bit farther than the rear ones, so the rear ones are always going to go up first. You already aired up a little bit. There you go, it's airing up. It's taking a little bit longer just because it still has to fill up with air. Right now we're like at 107. It still needs to go up a little bit more. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. I didn't go into too much detail on how to actually wire everything together. The instructions were pretty clear on that, but of course if you have any questions, feel free to message me on Instagram. I'll go ahead and leave it down below. I did do a lot of the stuff that I actually done to my car. So that being said, the front bumper, I installed that, the side splitters, the front splitter, I made that myself. So of course if you guys want to see more videos in the future, please like and subscribe, leave comments down below of what you want to see, and I'll be happy to do that for you guys. Thank you guys for watching again. I hope to see you on the next one. Peace.